Hey, I'd like to welcome you to another episode of Money Matters Top Tips for Success, where each and every day I bring on new business owners, entrepreneurs, and executives and have them share their top tips for success with you. My name is Adam Torres. You can follow me on Instagram at AskAdamTorres. Keep up with my book releases, book tour schedule, signings, all that other good stuff. Always love to connect with you there. And as always, if you'd like to apply to become a co-author of one of my upcoming books, just head on over to the website, moneymatterstoptips.com, and click on Become an Author to apply. All right, so today I have Emiliano Forino Procacci on the line, and he is a psychologist and also a writer. Emiliano, welcome to the show.
Thank you. Hi.
So I'm excited to get more into what you're doing and some of the projects that you've told me about kind of in the pre-show. But before we do that, let's get a little bit further into your background. So how did you get started in your career?
Yes, so I'm, as you told, I'm a writer and a psychologist. I wrote 6 books on communication, motivation, and personal growth. My books are in Italian, English, and I'm translating everything in Spanish too. In Italy, I'm from Italy. I built a home. I had a great job there, plus many other things, including my activity in the Vatican. I was decorated in Vatican by the Medal of Merit. Pope Benedict baptized my daughter, and Pope Francis baptized my son. So let's say that my life was perfect there. But I decided to move in this great country that I love, and now I'm more happy than before.
Wow. So what I find really interesting about your career and your transition is there's a lot of people that have had really interesting, more of a corporate background, and then they decide to be an entrepreneur, which is what you've ultimately done. So, I mean, going through to create these books and these works that you've done, what kind of advice would you give to, let's say, that newer entrepreneur that's where maybe you were at many years ago, Emiliano, when you were just getting started and starting those first books and thinking about getting what you wanted to share with the world? What kind of advice would you give to that new person that's just starting?
Yes, it's the same advice that are in my books. So, and exactly what I did, moving here from a situation that was perfect. So the key is get out from the comfort zone. Even if we are happy of everything, but we, for example, we want to realize a dream or something else. So my advice is to get out from the comfort zone to be happy.
Wow, and I think that's something that we don't talk about enough, and it's not advice that people want to hear.
Yes.
So when you say we want a magic pill, we don't want to get out of our comfort zone. That hurts. But I agree with you completely. If without getting out of that comfort zone, there's no real room for growth. So great advice there. Emiliano, I want to get into some of the projects that you're working on right now. So you're please, as a writer, as a creator, let's get into some of those.
Yes, absolutely. So I got a visa for extraordinary abilities because my books, and in my books I describe a new technique based on microexpression, body language, and assessment technique to hire people. So it's for the job interview. It's something really new, and I'm happy that in Europe this technique is having a big success. This technique is based on microexpression. When an emotion is aroused, a process is activated that results in a mimic expression. The interesting aspect of microexpression is that they never occur casually, but always express an emotion. So, and this is how it works, my technique.
I love it, and I mean, I'm a huge fan of Dr. Paul Ekman. So when I think, Emiliano, you probably didn't know that I knew anything about microexpressions. Everybody's always surprised when I'm interviewing. When I'm interviewing people, they're always like, "Wait a minute, how does this?" I've been reading Dr. Paul Ekman for years. So I have all of his books, from Unmasking the Face to Emotions Revealed. And and funny thing is, so for the people listening, definitely look this up and look up Emiliano's books. When I was a I didn't use it for the exact reasons that you're using for hiring. When I started out in sales many moons ago when I was a financial advisor, I thought, well, if I can know what somebody is feeling across the table from me, and it's not about reading their mind or anything else, but just to know how they're feeling, then I'd be able to have a much more interesting impact on their life and in the discussion. So I know for a fact that many of the listeners right now have no idea what we're talking about or what a microexpression even is. So I'm going to leave that up to you. Can you briefly explain just a high-level concept of what a microexpression is and why it's so important?
Absolutely. I'm happy that you know Paul Ekman, that he discovered the microexpression. Let's say that the emotions are so fast that they can arise in a human before they are fully aware of them. Facial microexpression less than a second, and it is important to know how to decode them, also to find out if the person in front of you is lying or is telling the truth. The face transmits a lot of information, and the body as well. Know how to read the body language and facial microexpression. I always say that it's like learning to read the second time. So, for example, if a person can claim to have a lot of experience in certain field and instead can be betrayed by a body language, for example. So obviously, every communicative act must be contextualized, and only a signal sent by the body or facial microexpression is certainly not enough to conclude, that we are facing a person who is not sincere.
And so what I think is really interesting is I've seen the concept of microexpressions applied to other things, but I haven't seen, like sales is the common one. That's a big common one that, or for police and for law enforcement, things like that, like microexpression, facial recognition software, all of these things hugely important. And they influence all our technology and what we're doing going forward, whether people realize this or not. But that being said, I haven't seen somebody doing an application of this quite like you are, which is to the hiring process. So let's go a little bit deeper into what some of the outcomes of a company implementing your system and your ideas can be.
Yes, absolutely. So, obviously, for safety reasons, in the security field, the legal field, for the interrogatory, are very useful, the microexpression, how to read the microexpression. I always say that is a tool. But for a company, especially a big company, they have different steps to hire someone. There is a software at the beginning that do a screening of all the resume, find the keywords, for example, for a position that you applied. After that, there is the phone call with the candidate, and then finally the third step is the interview in the webcam. And in the webcam, thanks to the webcam, you can start, to read some microexpression. And then there is, if everything is fine, there is the last step, there is an interview in person. In this case, you can use all your techniques to read the body language, the microexpression, and you can use also other techniques, assessment techniques, to find out, to be more accurate and better understand if the person in front of you is the right person to hire.
I love it. No, that's great. It's great. And I think for anybody that hasn't learned or didn't know, or maybe this is your first time getting introduced to microexpressions and what that can mean, I definitely recommend going further down in your research and what you're doing. And speaking of that, Emiliano, so if somebody wants to start learning more, what's the best way for them to learn more about you, your books, and to kind of go further down this path?
Yes. So my books, Follow Your Star, Communicating for Success, The Secret of Persuasion. My books are on Amazon, but not only that. I have in mind to launch a new line of my books, but that's a surprise. It's too early to talk about it, but anyway, so definitely if they want to know more about me, my books are on Amazon, and I'm everywhere on the social media too.
Fantastic.
Yeah.
So we'll definitely have to, when you launch that new line, we will get you definitely back on the podcast to talk about it. Happy to help you promote and to finish and to continue on this mission that you're doing, because it's not an easy task, but I think it's a great thing you're doing, and really can be really instrumental in people and helping them with their business and their hiring practice. So great stuff there.
Absolutely.
So Emiliano, thank you for coming on the show today. Definitely appreciate it and you sharing your work and your time. And to the audience, as always, thank you for tuning in. I hope you got a lot of value out of this. If you did, don't forget to subscribe to the podcast, leave me a review on the Apple iTunes store, share this with your friends and family. I mean, do all those great things that we do to support our podcasters. I really do appreciate it. And Emiliano, thank you again for coming on the show.